All right, we are back, and today's special guest is Tim Thomas, and he is, how did you call yourself? A bloke who cares about you getting rest? Something
That's about right.
Yeah. And I mean, sleep is super important. I know I literally talked to two people today who were sleep deprived and trying to figure out how to mitigate their stress so they could sleep better. So this could not come at a better time.
Yay!
Woo.
Okay, Tim, so we'll just dive in here. What are the secrets?
Yeah.
Sure. Look, I will give you a demonstration. You ask, and I'll give it to you. Usually, it's at the end, and we talk about what it is. But basically, by the end of this podcast, I'm going to show you within 3 breaths, you're going to be able to activate your PNS, your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, that's the brake for the car. Everyone knows how to accelerate. Everyone knows how to go hard and push harder and all that sort of stuff. And, there is a time and a place to throttle up. This country was made great by that, and you will find your potential if you push yourself. But if nobody's talking about how to hit the brake, how to slow down, how to actually drop the revs of the engine, because if you're always revving high, your body doesn't heal. You actually have to drop your revs below a certain point, and then your body goes, oh, okay, now I can heal, now I can restore, and and everyone's talking about this, but no one's actually doing this. And so, that's why I'm here today to not just blah, 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 but I want to give you a tangible thing that you can take away by the end of this and you can have in your back pocket for the rest of your life. You can have it for yourself, or you can show it to other people who you might come across that, who knows, have trouble sleeping as well.
That's like the majority of my patients.
Yeah.
It's a key symptom of a mental health issue is having difficulty sleeping.
And I think that's partially because we're always in that accelerated point, right? We're always in that go. So when we finally drop into our parasympathetic, our brain's like, oh, you're calming down now. Let me flood you with all the things you didn't want to deal with today. So I am very curious to hear how you kind of got into this, but also, and I might have to remember this question so we can do one by one, but when people are kind of struggling, because you're right, there's a lot of people talking about this, saying it, but the actual implementation there's a bit of a gap.
Yeah.
And a lot of people experience that over-analysis right before bed. So how do you help people soothe that? Do the 3 breaths just work? But you can go either question first.
Sure. And I will start with this. I mentioned in the preamble, I always prepare myself quite thoroughly for engagements like this, because I think that we aren't just having a conversation right now. If we are 100% authentic with each other, we're going to be nourishing all the people around us. And I was in my ice bath about 10 minutes ago, and I was dropping into a very deep state. And the word came to me, deep restoration. I believe this conversation we're going to have is going to be deeply restorative to those people listening. And you are absolutely right, Laura. When we slow down, there's all those flooding thoughts of, no, you should be doing something. You should be doing something. Because something that we used to do in my background, special forces, something that we used to do is we used to actively use sleep as a weapon. Because we knew if we target our enemy's sleep, if we could take it out for 3 nights, then that would mess them up better than a bullet. Okay. And then I come back to the country I love, and there's so many people not sleeping. There's no enemy in the trees, but it's like our busy Western lifestyle is attacking us. And I'm dyslexic. I see things in patterns. And the officers were always talking about attacking the enemy's center of gravity. All right. So you find out what their center of gravity is, you attack it, you off center them, and basically they stop thinking for themselves. All right. And this ties into why we can't slow down. Our center of gravity as humans, as I've observed, is our sense of self-worth. Okay.
Go.
And if my sense of self-worth is attached to something I do, then people value me for doing that thing. If I'm not actually doing something, I'm of no value. So, obviously I don't have any value inside of me, so I've got to keep putting it out there. All right? So it's understanding that who you are as a person is constantly under attack, and also knowing that in a consumer society, whether it's by design or default, people who are fatigued are a lot more suggestible, you know. So if you had two groups of people, one was they knew the resources that were inside of them, they could develop them, they could build others around them up. But then there was another group who didn't know their worth, needed a pair of shoes to feel good about themselves, and needed other people to tell them how good they were. They needed other people to build them up. So which one of those two groups would buy more crap they didn't need, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious, right? So sleep is one of those things that it's very easy to talk about, but to understand it and what is at the base of it is very, very special to me, because basically what happens is when people start sleeping better, there's a saying, sleep is the soil from which everything grows. So I put it to everyone listening. You can think sleep, whatever, I get by. Think of everything you've got in your life. Think of your work, you know, your relationships, your quality of everything. The quality of everything in your life is relative to the quality of your sleep. You know, so I don't know you. We kind of just met, Alicia and Laura, okay? And I can't do what you do, but if I can improve the quality of your sleep, then you're going to bring your gifts into the world even better, okay? And conversely, if there was someone that was deliberately wanting to sabotage us and have us never see our full potential and never see our value, they would be attacking our sleep.
Yeah.
I am a person that has some anxiety issues, and I know that when I had my children and I was sleep deprived, my anxiety was so much worse. It was terrible. So I know from firsthand experience that I have to protect my sleep. And I try to preach that to my clients as well, but I know that a lot of them have that mindset that you can sleep when you die.
Yeah. Which is so silly. And I love that you brought up the self-worth being like the deeper access point, because that's what I deal with a lot of my clients. It's helping them understand, like, health is about balance. It's not about how perfect your workout is or how perfectly you're eating. Like, if you overwork, when it comes time for bed, we want a sense of freedom because we've been so responsible, so disciplined. And so then we're like, okay, we're going to go to bed, but then we get caught up in that pattern and then we deprive our sleep. And it's like we're on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
The way
we're doing it, but we can't do anything about it.
So crazy. And it's such a hard thing to understand if you don't see it. But once you see it, it's like, oh my God, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah. And I hear you. When I'm working with corporates or athletes, I describe to them, the thing that makes sense to them is, think of performance like a pyramid, a triangle pyramid. At the top, you know, you're kicking ass, you're making bank, you're hitting your targets. But at the bottom is your rest, recovery, healing art forms. Okay. Now, the bottom looks nothing like the top. Okay. But if you just spend your time at the top, it's not, and you know, I train a lot of guys, you know, martial arts and all that sort of stuff. And I say, it's not what you do at the gym, it's what you do outside of the gym. Okay. And the only way that I've been able to stop and slow down. So every Sunday I do the buzzword is a dopamine detox. I don't do any electronics, no phone, no music, no nothing, and no fast movements. You know, if it takes me 10 seconds to walk across the room, I'll deliberately take 60 seconds. And to slow down kind of breaks my head, right? But the only way, and this is something that feel free to use, the only way, because I love hitting targets, the only way I've been able to slow down is to picture it. I call it a bow day. Okay, so I like hitting targets. Think of an arrow hitting a target, but to create momentum to hit that target, the arrow has to go in the opposite direction to the target to create momentum. You know, so whenever I'm having those bow days, there's that part of me that says, Tim, you're doing nothing. But knowing that I'm creating momentum for all the targets I really want to hit. Otherwise, I end up doing these, you know, limp-wristed, I'm trying really hard, but I'm getting nowhere, you know. Right. which then feeds the exacerbation at night, because we can kid ourselves in the daytime. We can say, look, everything's fine, I'm fine. But then the lights go off and this thing's like, well, your imbalance shows up at nighttime. There's a part of you that goes, you're kidding yourself right now. You've got everyone else fooled, but you can't fool me, and I'm not wanting to sleep right now.
I like that. Your imbalance shows up at nighttime, because I think a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm doing better with my work-life balance, but then they're still experiencing that pre-bed gap in their own mind. It's like, well, if that's happening, maybe you're still improved from where you were in your balance, but your brain and body are not in balance if that is happening. So I really like that comment.
Oh, I also want to back up what you said before about, Alicia, when you were sleep deprived, it worsened everything, because sleep deprived people have a 200 to 300% increase in mental health problems. So if you want to, I think, everyone's got crap in their head, but give it the right environment and it'll multiply itself, right? And sleep deprivation is the perfect environment for all that crap to grow. We as a soldier, we knew that if we did that to our enemy, the difference between you and me, just being normal people in a cell with a padded walls, is 3 nights sleep. It's kind of scary how thin ice we're on.
Yeah.
So yeah, my saying is, if you truly care about somebody, you will care about their sleep. And yeah, and you're talking to a guy who I lost 6 years of my life to pills when I made the mistake of telling a doctor I couldn't sleep. They said, look, here's half a pharmacy, right? And initially I'm like, oh, this is great. It's like long service leave in a bottle. But nobody told me the cost of taking them. I don't remember a lot of time in that 6 years. No one told me I'd lose those memories. And I'm pretty sure I lost a lot of memories before that. So it scared the hell out of me when I was at my mate's place. And I just looked around. I said, this place looks familiar. Then he looks at me like I'm a dumbass. And he goes, Tim, you helped me move in here. And I'm like, oh, shit. I hope I was a good person. I don't want some random guy coming up and punching me in the face.
Yeah. I was a good person. Oh, shit.
And what they also don't tell you is how hard it is to come off these pills. No one tells you the cost of them, because yes, there is a perceived benefit, but there's a massive cost. And no one told me that simple breath work could alkalize my neural pathways, turn on my parasympathetic nervous system, drop me into this deep state of peace that I could give myself. I didn't have to, hide pills in my car or in the fruit bowl, all the different places that were around the house to self-regulate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you bring up a lot of valid points. And it feels like the perfect storm to me in a lot of ways, because I had to learn the hard way as well, the value of sleep. And my mom literally told me, when I told her that I was going to be a personal trainer, so I had to wake up really early, she's like, you're a bitch in the morning, right? And I'm like, I do know that, but I'm different when people say, but I've had to learn to kind of create my own sleep habits and do breath work, do different nervous system regulation techniques, get red light on instead of blue light, just subtle techniques, even journaling all those thoughts. But there's a way of life, right? Like, this does go back to self-worth. We are worried about getting that. So we're in this hustle, this over processing, overgoing. And when there's a pill that's a quick fix, sadly, a lot of people aren't worried about the cost of that as much as they are the convenience of that. So how would you, as someone who's experienced...
you could write a book, Cost of Convenience, right there.
There you go. You want to be my co-author?
Write that down, Alicia. You can
I'm writing it down. Writing that down.
Cost of Convenience. Sorry, keep going, Laura. I just had to say that. That was amazing.
Hey, we just joined a book club as co-authors. I'm all about it. For someone who's struggling, they're hearing what you're saying and they're like, okay, there's a cost. I don't want the cost, but I don't know, they don't see the light.
Yeah.
How would you help them kind of invest their energy and growth in building healthy sleep, I guess?
Well, valid question, because when you're fatigued, you're not thinking, so you're just grabbing whatever's easiest. Okay.
Right.
And I was a guy that did pills, alcohol, all that sort of stuff. So I get it, right? And so to that end, I've created if you've got a phone, you can access the power of your lungs. So I've created a very simple online little resource. You tell it when you want to sleep, you tell it when you want to wake up, and it'll drop out of your phone at those convenient times. So people that are tired, they just say, look, here's what I want, take care of it for me. So my job the last few years have been working with research organizations to take the academia, translate it into, real world talk, but then make it applicable to drop into the people that need it, when they need it, how they need it, in the form they need it. Okay, because the way resources works from the top down is they'll have like millions of dollars of resources going to veterans alone, right? But it's a bit like saying, hey, that plant needs water. Here's a bucket of water. Okay, you've got your resources. You're not understand. It doesn't work like that. So if you really understand the people you're trying to reach, and more often than not, it's someone who's been there, then they can, with far less resources, get a much greater impact. So to answer your question, getting people out of fatigue is a simple, and I don't like the idea of doing these big shifts, because sometimes the bigger the shift, the more rapidly you'll return back to where you came. So I say micro habits over time. Like you know me, I'm the toughest mofo I know, right? But I do things that are easy and comfortable a lot longer than I do things that are uncomfortable and hard. Telling your phone when you want to sleep and when you want to wake up, and having those notifications that you just go burp and then press play, and then just getting your lungs going in and out a certain way. People discover very rapidly, Laura, that we don't own lungs. We own a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. Okay, so we can literally self-medicate. This is a pharmacy in here. It's non-toxic, non-addictive, and you can access it whenever you want.
Free.
Yeah, right.
As long as you have air.
Yeah, that's right.
True. Stay in air. That's important.
Don't do this underwater.
If anyone's getting this podcast in space, you're in trouble. It's a vacuum.
No, but I remember so vividly the first time I did a breathwork practice. I was super tired. It was a meditation thing. I did it and I woke up like I could run a marathon, and I don't even like running. And I was like, what the heck just happened to me? Because I've understood and learned about breathwork to help with sleep, but I didn't understand how it could also wake you up. And I'm someone who has a sensitive stomach, so having a lot of caffeine doesn't really mesh well with me. And so what I do when I'm tired is I just have a 5-minute breath practice, and it literally feels twice as effective. And you're right about the micro habits too, because having a Celsius or having an energy drink and just having that quick sip seems so easy. You're breathing without even consciously thinking about it all the time. Just understanding the micro pattern and teaching myself to do that was great. And I'll be very frank. I first started with a little bit of Celsius, a little bit of breath work, and then slowly migrated to breath work.
Yeah.
Micro habits.
Yeah.
Is that your Celsius? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, just like there's an accumulation on, by the way, that's cacao. You guys know what cacao is?
It's chocolate, right?
Yeah, it's where chocolate comes from, but it's the pure source. It's another great caffeine-free, crosses the blood-brain barrier, makes your brain really happy. If you're into the woo-woo stuff, it opens up your heart chakra. So yeah, if you want something to wake you up in the morning that's not caffeine-free, cacao, ceremonial grade. But dialing back, I'm not here to sell cacao, by the way. I'm just telling you what I'm sucking on.
We love chocolate.
Glug, coffee.
Share all the goodness, chocolate, breath work. We're here for all of it.
Absolutely.
But cacao's really good after a ice bath, because ice bath is vasoconstricting and cacao is vasodilating. So one makes everything tighten up. This opens everything back up. Yeah. So when I run my breath work, ice bath, and cacao sessions, that trio of experiences just has people, even when there's no music, they want to dance.
Ah, oh, so cute. I love that.
Oh yeah. Oh look, when this is what I found with veterans. If done right, therapy, you don't even know it's happening. It just feels right at a very deep point. If someone really understands how a human works, it just feels right. And as a result, when things feel right, and you're actually hitting those marks that are very deep inside of you but unspoken, your sleep rewards you. So my veteran programs that I set up were effective because the measurement of success was how much it increased the veteran's sleep. Because when we sleep, then we can self-heal. And I notice once you get people out of fatigue, it's like all their higher functionings kick in. And I realized, I could underfunction my whole life, and the thing that really pushes me forward into being a better person is all the unhealed stuff about me. I don't get the privilege of taking that to the grave. That doesn't die with me. I pass that forward onto my kids, and if you don't have kids, guess what? I pass it forward on to everyone else, especially to those people in traffic,
Especially to them. Yes.
Get off the road.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I think a lot of us are underfunctioning, and it makes me think of like performance, be that from an athlete, be that from our military, or like a car. If your car is just always going, eventually you're going to run out of gas. If an athlete is always performing at their absolute best, an injury is knocking on the door. Like there's no reality that I know of. If you guys know of any, please tell me. Where just constantly going without any form of a break actually has a positive result.
Aliens. Just kidding.
You're in space again, Alicia. Come back down.
Air. We need
I
air.
had to say that specifically for Laura because she loves when I talk about aliens.
I don't, and that's why she does it. Anyway, getting back to the conversation with air.
Yes.
Right? There's actually something that I have noticed within my clients, and I'm curious both of your opinion on, honestly. I had a conversation today about someone's kind of preconceived notions and associations with just low energy. Because if we think about like sleep, we're thinking about slowing down, getting into that lower energy. And when I was asking her about why she was viewing it so negatively, because she thought she was having something physiologically going on. She got cleared by her doctor. Everything looks good. But I'm like, why do you think it's bad to be low energy? And this was something I had to unlearn as well, coming from a family that was very active, very involved, very social, very athletic. It was go, 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 go until you literally fall asleep, wake up, and you're like, crap, I forgot to finish that. So then go again and rinse, repeat, hamster wheel. So I was very used to that. And then I met my husband, and he calmed me down a little bit, just a little bit. But we were talking about low energy, and I'm like, well, is peacefulness bad? She's like, no. I was like, what about calm? She's like, no. It's like, so you're associating low energy with sadness or grief, for example. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so healing happens in low energy, but beautiful things can also happen in low energy. So have either of you kind of recognized this association where people have a resistance to low energy?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, if people have, and it ties in nicely to your athletes one, if they're always performing, but the thing is, if their sense of self-worth is attached to what they do, then they always have to perform, because our center of gravity is our sense of self-worth. And if we've attached it outside of ourselves, we're always going to need to be getting it from the outside, because I don't want to feel bad about me. And so when I'm, talking with a client or somebody, I find out what they feel strongly about. And if it's cars, I'll give the analogy, what would happen if your car was always revving? You drop the revs down low, and it can sort of self-heal, because we're a living car, right? And if someone's into gardening, I say, well, what would happen if the sun was out, high energy sun, 24/7? There's a certain, whatever they feel strongly about, like if there's a fisherman, like if you caught all the fish one day and you went back there the next day, there'd be no fish. There's a certain balance you need to have. So if we class ourselves as healers, we need to understand that everyone's got a tree of knowledge, and what an expert will do is they'll grow a tree of knowledge. They'll be fruitful, and if someone comes to them for information, they will give them correct information. Okay, exact. Oh, this is this, and this is what the body does, and this. But that's like giving someone seeds. Okay, when they want an apple, you're giving them seeds. Yes, technically that's all the right information, but it's got nothing that it doesn't look like what I want. And how the hell do I grow this thing? Okay, but what a real master will do was, they'll live a fruitful life, but when someone comes to them, they know with the combination of good communication, but also deep resonance and care for that person, they'll know how to graft the fruit from their tree onto their tree with a combination of communication, care, resonance, and love, dare I say it. And then that person will have that connection. And again, it could be something as simple as, if they're a gardener, what would happen if it was sunshine 24/7? Yes, you need it to grow, but you will kill yourself past a certain point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
I have a question, and I hope it's not steering us off track, but, you were saying that the center of gravity for humans is the sense of self-worth, and then we're talking about people identifying or attaching their sense of self-worth to a career or a profession or a sport, whatever it may be. How do you help people understand who they are aside from those things? Because I have clients ask me all the time, well, I don't know who I am, and how do I find that out?
Yeah. Look, and my goal for everyone I interact with is twofold. Firstly, what if before you even left the house, you could give yourself everything you truly needed? And so your day would just be a victory lap. Your day would just be, it's fun. I'm going to have fun with this. But before you leave the door, you've actually given yourself everything you truly need. Okay, so think of a human as some people call humans, we are physical and spiritual. Some people say there's parts of us that are seen, there's parts of us that are unseen. Okay. Now, I know with me, when there's unseen parts of me not being nourished, the physical part of me will mistake that, and I'll just start eating more. I don't know why. I'm like, why am I eating so much? Because there's unseen parts of me that are not being nourished. There's something I'm doing that's not nourishing those parts. So periodically I fast just so I can actually get the discipline of listening to those deeper unseen parts of me. You could call it your spirit, that is crying out for nourishment, and no matter what I do with my physical body, in my case, I eat and drink, right? No matter what I do, I'm not actually meeting those deep needs. Yeah. Okay. So there's that part. So if there's a part of you that's malnourished, our bodies go, oh, there's a part of us malnourished. Where do we get nourishment from? Oh, look, Tracy's getting a good reward from her career. I need to do a career. Oh, John's got a really good car. I'm getting to get a car, So essentially anything outside of yourself, there is, you're no longer sovereign. Okay. Sovereignty is you seeing the value inside of you before anyone else can see it. And it might be small. No one else can see it because no one else can see it. Only you can see it. So this is where I get people to see their themselves like energy. Their energy is like money. How you invest it is how you get it back. And if you want to find out who you are, it's not a mystical thing. It is literally like a spreadsheet in my observation here. So if you invest $100 in, let's say, playing guitar, I don't play guitar, but let's say it is playing guitar, right? And you get $1,000 back, you're like, oh, there's a part of me that's getting a good reward. I'm going to follow this yum, yum, yum energetic signature. All right. So finding out who you are is very much tapped into finding your abundance. Okay. So, breath work seems to be the thing that lights me up. I do 2 hours a day of this stuff. All right. But that's me. That's Tim, and the mistake that people make is the loudest voices in the room, often are the ones saying, hey, I feel amazing because I, do 1,000 chin-ups a day. You want to feel amazing? Oh, is that what we're supposed to do? Do 1,000 chin-ups a day? Then, okay, everybody do chin-ups. No, this is where you have to really see it for yourself before anyone else does, and then start mapping it out. Oh, that was investing. That felt good. More, please. That felt good. More, please. And then you start dividing everything up, just like you would if you had like a shares portfolio. If you had a couple of shares giving you a really good return, yeah, let's put more into that. And if you had some that were, just taking money, then you wouldn't invest as much in there. So this is where, there's things that you can do that give you a good return. There's things that you can do that don't give you a good return. Some people call it following your heart. To me, it's as simple as, it's just obvious, right? And this is where, believe it or not, generosity comes into this, okay? Because powerful connections inside of yourself, connecting to yourself powerfully, allows you to connect powerfully outside of yourself. And we are actually made for full circle connection, because when you go full circle and connect to another human, which, deep secret, it's just another form of you. All right. Okay. And, it's one thing to go to a gym and, just do your t-shirt workout to make you look good here. But if you neglect your legs or your abs, you're not fully strong. So there comes a point in your journey when you've, really powerful and connected inside yourself, you then tip into others, because they're not others, they're actually you. And if you want all of you to be powerful, then you can't step over all the different parts of you, which are all the other people that you interact with.
Yeah, I think there's so many good points. The kind of hunger that you were pointing out, how like you were, when there was a malnourished aspect of you that you would just eat, I discovered something very similar, and it is part of what helped me on my kind of self-worth journey. And I like have a very distinct memory of like feeling the physical sensations of full, but like thinking about sugar. And then I like paused just long enough to understand, well, I asked myself, like, what am I actually feeling? And the reality was exhausted, and I knew sugar gave me energy. So it was a malnourishment tactic my brain had known, but if I hadn't slowed down long enough to actually question it, I wouldn't have understood that. And it turns out bloopers and laughter are a great way to also stimulate energy, and that's what I did to nourish my need for energy. But
sorry, what was the first one? Something in laughter.
Bloopers. Like
bloopers.
Yeah,
I know what a blooper is. Yeah.
I watched Park and Rec, like they had 15 minutes of their bloopers, and I was crying, laughing, and I had like enough energy to work for another 90 minutes. It was like, wow, this is a whole new like super source way of tapping into energy, be that breath work or rest in general. But like, there's a lot of different ways. And I think what we're ultimately talking about is understanding how to navigate your energy, right? Like when you're around certain people, you can pretty quickly tell like if you want to spend more time with them or if you don't, based on how they make you feel, right? Like when I'm around Alicia, I'm always energized unless she starts talking about aliens, and then I want to go home. I'm just kidding. My husband talks about aliens at home too. So
I'll just talk to him. It's fine.
I know. That's what we figured out works.
Laura.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there. But jokes aside, like learning how to understand what your energy is telling you. It's like this untapped intelligence within our body that's saying like this is for you or this isn't, be that with different foods, be that with your habits, right? The whole imbalance is showing up at nighttime. If you're angry that your brain's not letting you sleep, that's probably a sign that your energy is not into alignment. So I think the question, Alicia, was like, how do you help people on the self-worth aspect if they don't know themselves? When I was listening, what jumped out to me was just like learning to hear and pay attention to your own energy, what it's kind of gravitating you towards or what it's telling you to move away from. Am I understanding?
Yeah. Yeah, no, understanding that first, energy is a thing that we all have.
Yes.
And if you look at energy being like money, what would happen if you spent money like you had an endless supply? you would run the hell out, you know?
Yeah.
And think of it, think of the perfect storm of when you run out of when you run out of money, there's lots of people running out wanting to loan you money, but you have to pay it back with interest. Okay, so you're starting to see a pattern here. So when you run out of energy, this world goes, I love it when you're out of energy because then I can give you a short-term loan and you have to pay it back with interest and then you become enslaved and then I got you, mofo. I got you.
Yeah.
Because you can't generate it yourself, you need it, and I've got this loop going on. And they do not want you to become sovereign. They don't want you to tap into your own resources because the second you do, you don't need them. They're redundant.
Right. It's literally getting off the hamster wheel. But I think, your comments about fasting, about if I'm going to take 10 seconds, I'm like, no, I'm going to take 60 seconds. It's kind of like showing your brain you're in charge. And I think that's a really important aspect, especially in modern society, especially with social media and how easy it is to be manipulated without even recognizing people are being manipulated. Like there have been so many times as I've been listening that my brain just has been saying hamster wheel, hamster wheel. Like that's what I feel like our society is largely on. And there's so many things pulling for our attention constantly. But if we aren't leading our own being, which disconnects us from our, like, what makes us happy, what brings joy and fulfillment. Like we're so stuck in that hustle, ego, hamster wheel that we need to learn to kind of fight back against the comfort impulses to really regain authority.
You're absolutely right. And if I could offer something within your statement, when you talk about, no, I'm going to slow down and show my brain who's in charge, if I could offer a better wording in that space is, I'm going to slow down and show my brain that you're a part of something a whole lot bigger. So on my slow days, I'm like, it is time to discover the inner universe that is Tim. It is time to discover the inner universe that is Laura, Alicia. And when you slow down and get the size of yourself, you realize there is so much there. And this sentient mind, I believe it's a relatively new bolt-on and it's still trying to figure stuff out. Okay, so the reason I like breath work and the reason, because of the reconnection it actually gives us. So if you think of, us as evolved human beings, before we were before we were sentient, before we had this sentience bolted onto our head and we were putting, paintings on the rock wall, we were breathing. Before we were speaking, we were breathing. Okay, one thing that psychologists haven't figured out, and they study for 7 years, but no one tells them that the trauma goes down deeper than the words can reach. Okay, so they've got this, they've spent 7 years getting a rifle and it can shoot 200 yards. But my targets were 2 kilometers away, and they're like, oh, I'm shooting in the right direction. It took me 7 years to make this thing that shoots, and I'm like, no, you're not hitting the targets. But the point I'm trying to make here is, that breath outdates our speaking and our thinking. And that deep ancient wiring still lives inside of us. And it outranks our overthinking mind. So I'll tell you where, like, breathwork in bed was actually born from a time when I was no longer in the war zone of Afghanistan, but there was a war zone going off in my head. I'd just gotten divorced. Lost my money, house, home, regular access to my kids. I'm sleeping on the couch in my parents' living room. And you can bet at 3 a.m. it was pretty hard to sleep, all the crap in my head. And it was there I realized this concept that our mind is like a garden. Whatever you water grows. And I was doing a really good job of watering the weeds of stress. And those stress weeds, they grow to a certain point and then eyeballs pop out of them and they become sentient. They become aware of what you do that feeds them and they become aware of what you do that starves them. Okay, and if you've ever had the feeling of, before you go to the gym, there's parts you're going, oh, let's not do this now. Let's do something else. Let's put it off. They're the disempowered parts in your head, knowing that their survival's at stake, because they know once you go to the gym, once you work out, once you get empowered, they're gone. So they scream the loudest before they go. So there I was, 3 a.m., the stress weeds were running the show. And even though I was a breathwork coach, and if someone asked me, how do you slow yourself down? I'm like, oh, just breathe, right? I couldn't do it because these stress weeds were running the show. And I was about to do self-harm. I was either going to take a lot of pills or a lot of alcohol. And I just looked at my left thumb and I said, Tim, you can take one breath. Just take one fucking breath. And I drove it into my chest, went, it was like the first breath I've ever taken. I'm like, oh, that worked. Take 2 breaths. I put 2 fingers in my chest. Okay, this is working. Take 3. I put 3 fingers. I got to 5. I got to 10. And then somewhere between breath 15 and breath 25, those stress weeds got kicked out. And the rest of my mind was like, thank fuck you kicked them out. This is working. Don't stop. And then I'm like, how many other iterations of Tim would have not breathed? How many other iterations would have taken those pills, taken that alcohol? And so that's the thing about breath. It's super powerful, but we're up against certain things in our own mind. So if, like, I was watering those weeds of stress, they became aware of what fed them and what starved them. So that's why it's with breath, it's super important to have a guided experience, because then you give an external focus. You know, I won't do it for myself, but if I'm listening to something, then I'm actually doing it. Does that make sense?
It does. And I agree. I think the listening is kind of like, it puts you in like a different kind of sense and auditory system to like kind of not water the weeds, so to speak. Makes sense.
I tell all of my clients that in relationship to meditation, because there's all different kinds of meditation. And I think a lot of people think that meditation is thinking about absolutely nothing. And for me, listening to someone tell me what to think about or when to take a breath really helps me to get into the meditative state. When I try to do it by myself, which I do, good God, the chatter is just insane.
Yeah.
No, us humans do really well with an external focus. To tie into your point, Alicia, if we were attacked by aliens, I think it would be the best thing for us humans, because we'd all realize, hey, we have to work together. We bond together when there's an external threat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I might not like you, but if there's an external threat, we have to bond together, and then I see the value in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Laura and I talked about when the hurricanes happened in Florida. Like, a lot of the people in the neighborhoods were just outside helping each other. And one of my friends is in California right now with the fires, and she was saying the same thing. All the people are coming together and helping each other, and it's so beautiful. And it's sad that that's what it takes for us to come together, but you're right.
Oh, when we live comfortably, all the worst parts of us come out.
True. I totally agree.
That is true, yeah.
I think it's really about like meaning, like really understanding, like when my husband and I had this conversation at the end of the year, and where I'm like, when you reflect on the last year and like the moments that stick out to you, none of them were really what we label like couch moments, where, you know, it's like the hour before bed or 2 hours before bed when you're just like numbing out on the couch watching TV. And like when we thought about it, it was like the nights where we chose to read, or the nights where we went to a comedy show, or the nights where we had dinner together. It was like just engaging with life and like understanding that the reward you get from that is connection, contentment, meaning, purpose. And like, I hate that we have to lose someone we love, have an external crisis for us to be grounded in our humanity. It really sucks. Well, now I'm depressing. All right, someone else take it.
No. Don't let that sink in, everybody, because I want to share with you a breathwork technique tied in with gratitude. So before I show you the 3 things, I want to show you something, and it'll tie into what you spoke about, Laura, but without actually necessarily going there. So I want everybody to think of the thing that they value most. All right. The thing that they value most, okay? And just because I'm kind of looking at it, I'm just going to show you this. This is the picture I have literally on my desk. Can you see that?
Yeah, what a cutie. Lift it up a little bit.
Popeye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. So that's That's Bubba. He's literally staring at me on the wall. Okay, very important. I've got, obviously got kids as well. I'm not,
We're telling the kids. We're going to tell the
that's
kids.
right. Don't edit this out. Edit this part out. I'll give you money. But obviously, I'm just using that because that's the most obvious thing to me right now. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to take that really valuable thing, in my case, Bubba, and I'm going to put that into my chest. I'm going to take 3 breaths. I'm going to breathe into all those places in my body where I feel amazing because that wonderful dog is in my life. Okay, so I'm going to use Bubba, but just think of the thing and just put it literally in your thumb as a fun experience. Put it in your thumb and then put it in your chest, and then 3 breaths, just regular breaths, and feel all those places that thing, person, place makes you feel amazing. So just 3 breaths. Make it tactile as possible because it's in your body, this thing. Good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that thing out of our lives. We're going to imagine that thing out of our life. So we're going to take it away. We're going to imagine our life without that thing, person, place. And we're going to take 3 breaths, imagining our life and what it would be like to be without that. All right. And this is quite a thing. Okay.
You're going to make me cry now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like this anymore. I like the gratitude part.
We're going somewhere with it, but the more you go into this, and this is sort of like the bow, we're going away from where we want to go, but trust me, there's a reason for this. So we're going to, ceremoniously take that thing out of our life and imagine your life without it. And sometimes it's even hard to breathe. So let's just take 3 breaths, imagining your life without that thing. And now, with even more gratitude, we're going to put that thing back in our lives. And we're going to breathe into that space of, breathe in more joy, more gratitude, more amazing feelings, because now it's back. I do have that in my life. I do have this. I do.
That was good.
I'm crying now.
I bet you're grateful now, though, aren't you?
Yes, but I'm also still recovering. Like, my body takes longer to recover from the sadness when I act, because I've always told people I can cry on point. Just tell me someone I have to think about losing, because I do try to be more grounded in what I have versus what I don't. I even call it grateful problems sometimes, that I'm lucky to have the problems I have in my life. But the actual exercise, I do understand. I hope our listeners actually went through it, because if you're not someone who's used to accessing gratitude or feeling the profound effect of that love generate through your body, and then having to put your body through the potential loss of it, you kind of get this weird opportunity where, like, you don't really ever do that unless you're experiencing it. So then when you actually get it back, it adds value. It makes you more appreciative. And I bet you're going to go home and kiss Bubba.
He's going to get an extra big rub down.
But not the kids, right? So no, but jokes aside, I enjoyed the exercise. I prefer the gratitude, but it is a great exercise to demonstrate the value of what you have and be able to connect to the love that's already within you.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes we just have to resensitize ourselves as humans, because we could try and stay comfortable and, all my loved ones are going to be around me forever and ever. But you can deepen the value by creating that little bit of a vacuum, like obviously nothing's there, but you travel places when you imagine your life without that person, and it's a tactile thing. It's a breath thing. Like sometimes, I really struggle to breathe when I'm imagining my life without these certain wonderful things. And then when it goes back in there, it just brings about so much more joy, peace, love, connection. And it's, it's these little things that we can do that, before I get out of bed, one of my favorite things is with 5 fingers, I'll do that for 5 things. So and there's no depth to this. There's no bottom to this experience. You can really dive deep when you go through all the different things in your life. You breathe it in, you breathe it out, you breathe it back in. Oh, wow. And it's like a little journey you're going on. And you can just, if you want to enhance every part of your life, gratitude is the gateway. I think there was a writing on a monastery wall. Gratitude leads to happiness. Happiness does not lead to gratitude. For those people that are maybe a little desensitized around the gratitude aspect, I will do that one where it creates that vacuum, and then they can get their taste buds back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It reminds me, there's been kind of a theme today of suffering. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. And it just reminds me of the contrast that we need to have as humans. If we don't have the contrast of suffering plus, then we don't appreciate anything, it seems like. So I feel like there's an element of that involved in that exercise.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely. To me, it's not what we do that gives us value to others. It's what we've come through. And when I'm talking to veterans, I'll use very plain speak. I'll say, listen, you might not think you're special, but I bet you've been through some shit. Okay? And it's our job to turn that shit into fertilizer. And the stinkiest shit makes the best fertilizer. And you know what? It might take you a week, a month, a decade, but that's to turn that shit into fertilizer. But that's how much time you're going to be able to save other people. And the golden question, because everyone's up against some form of shit, right? The golden question is this: how many other people do you think are in the same shitty situation as you? Whatever that looks like. It could be a relationship, could be breast cancer, it could be anything, right? But ask yourself the question: how many other people are in that same situation? Because if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for them. And don't just throw that away. That's not a woo-woo question. Give it a real number. Like if you were to give a number to whatever you're up against. So when I started my healing journey, my idea was how many other veterans were in the same situation. And, I gave it a number. So anyone listening right now, whatever you're up against, ask yourself it and give it a number. Because if it's 10, if it's 100, if it's 1,000, you're no longer, 1 in 1,000. You're 1,000 in 1. When you are going to get healing, there's 1,000 people going to get healing. When you are going and booking in that appointment to, see that thing, to get that work done, there's 1,000 of you doing it. Okay, because when we're alone and isolated, we can justify all sorts of dumb crap. Okay, but when we're connected as a whole, man, there's nothing we can't do.
Yeah. Being connected to our common humanity, I think, is one of the biggest shifts that helped me on my journey. It helped me understand what self-compassion really was about, and really taught me to embrace what it means to be human, ride through the mistakes, understand that suffering has a purpose, whether I like it or not. I didn't like thinking about losing my dogs, but that doesn't mean that wasn't valuable. Same thing with all the other hard emotions. And I think when you can have respect for the duality of life and its purpose, it does help you desensitize and be more appreciative and just kind of more present in the life you do have.
Well, Laura, what that experience gives you is the qualification to break the isolation of someone else going through it. If you didn't go through that shitty situation, someone else that is in your awareness goes through that situation, you wouldn't be able to meet them where they are. You wouldn't be able to break their isolation, because here's what I found. And my mission in life was saving 40 veteran lives from suicide. I discovered 2 things, and I actually achieved that goal within 12 months. And what I discovered, again, dyslexic pattern recognition here, it doesn't matter if the pain's emotional or physical, it would get to a certain duration or intensity where it transforms from just pain into loneliness, isolation. I'm the only one going through it. And as we're social mammals, we're supposed to have each other's back. We're supposed to be able to trust each other. And when that happens, bring on the pain, bring on the hard times. We got each other's back. But if I'm all alone and I don't know who's got my back, then everything's a threat, because everything is a threat. I can't drop my guard for a second, because if I do, something bad's going to happen. Okay, so breaking someone's isolation is the first step to their healing process, and then the one after that is, because they've been feeling alone for so long, they're often fatigued. They're not sleeping well. They always have to watch their back. Trying to protect themselves kind of shuts off their higher thinking too, so they're often very reactive. Mm-hmm. So breaking isolation, getting people out of fatigue, it's like their golden compass just turns on and they know where to go. So I think the most valuable thing that happened to me in my life was going through these really crappy situations, and then I became qualified to then break the isolation of other people going through it, and show them and give them workable options. Like I never say I can help people, but I say, look, here's a few options that you can try that worked for me. So yes, nobody likes the bad times, but they end up being the most from the other people's perspective, they're the most valuable things about us. Is what we've come through, not what we do. So there's a lot of people out there that can do incredible things. Oh, they can run 100 meters in under 10 seconds. But there's that saying, you can do all sorts of incredible things, but if you don't have love, you're just a hollow sounding bell, So when I say love, that is the ability to connect to others and stop them essentially feeling alone. And then they start their healing journey.
Yeah.
I have a whole I was thinking about the Voice TV show. Because on The Voice, every artist, they have a story of something sad that they've gone through. And of course, it evokes empathy and it gets us, come on, you can win the voice. And but then at some point I was like, well, God, everybody's does everybody have a sad story? Like, did they handpick these people to be on the show? But I think that's just part of being human and living in this existence is you're going to go through some shit, like you said. I mean, there's varying degrees, there's varying types, but we're all going to suffer in some way. And I love the perspective of, okay, how many people is this going to help, though?
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool way to look at it. I mean, for me, as a person who cares about helping, like that's my one thing that I want to do. I don't know that everybody thinks about it like that, but that's a cool way to think about things for sure.
Well, I can tell you, and things will get dark pretty quick right now, but a real story. April 2011. I was about to kill a man. Okay, the Australian government wasn't paying me. This would have been murder. Because I'd reached rock bottom with my PTSD, my family was falling apart, and with all this stuff going on that I didn't understand, society told me that, you've got to see a psychologist to get yourself better. And I'm like, well, I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't make sense to see this guy. I don't trust him, but if this is going to help, this is what I'll do to help my family. So I go there and I tell him all the stuff that I saw within service, all the problems with transition, getting out. And this guy wasn't just incompetent. I could handle incompetency. This guy was completely apathetic. And at the end, he goes, do you think it was a problem with your mum and dad? And that's when the whole room froze, Alicia and Laura. That tick, tick, tick on the clock went, chick. And I became very aware of everything in that room. And I saw his glass-framed psychology degree. And in my state of disconnect, it made a lot of sense to grab that and feed it down his throat, because this guy was supposed to be a healer, and he wasn't just not healing, he was causing harm. So I'm doing everyone a favor by removing this mofo. So I get out of my chair to do this. And I feel this kind of hand on my chest and the words red flag. Tim, you're the toughest guy you know. How many others are struggling with what you're struggling with right now in a system that doesn't understand and seems to want to keep you sick. And I sat back down, and that's when I saw him. That's when I saw thousands of people left and right of me looking in, saying, Tim, if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for us. Mm-hmm. And that's when in that moment, my isolation was broken. Because when I was feeling alone and isolated, I could do all sorts of crazy stuff. I was about to kill a man. But when I connected to my tribe, and most of them I hadn't even met yet, but I had this sense that at some point in the future, there's going to be saying, hey, you know what? We're so glad that back in 2011, you didn't kill that guy and you actually chose to heal yourself, you know? Yeah. And I just invite everybody to draw that question to themselves. I know we've already spoken to it, but really draw it in, and you'll know you've got it when you can connect to those people you possibly haven't met yet, because they're going to say to you, words to the effect of, we're so glad you chose what you chose, back in 2025. We really are, because you moving forward for you, now we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's like creating a path for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
And I love the idea of the micro, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but I think of it as micro steps. Is that how you said it?
Yeah, micro habits. Yep.
Micro habits. Okay, yep. Because with my clients, I'm constantly saying to them, just start easy. Just start with something that's really easy. Don't, this client today, for example, was saying the thought of going to the gym is so horrible. And I was like, why do you have to go to the gym? Go for a walk in your neighborhood.
Yeah. Do an extra squat next time you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like tap your feet while you're sitting at your office. There you go. There's some movement. Do that fast enough. Your shins are going to burn.
Do some butt crunches in your chair.
It's your dog. There's so many things you can do. To your point, yes, we tend to catastrophize and look at the whole thing we need to do to keep ourselves immobile. So I agree that micro habits or micro steps is just step, whatever that crawl, pinky, I don't care, just move slightly.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious about these three breaths.
Sure. Okay. I feel so, little secret. They're 3 proper breaths. Okay. Now, it always amazes me how many professional athletes just don't know how to breathe. Okay. So I'm gonna show you a few little things, a few little fun things. And we all own bodies, but we just don't know what they can do for us. Okay, it's just like they carry around our eyeballs, and that's what they do. And the red light goes off, and we put food in our mouth, and the red light goes back on. So these are the things that I get a lot of joy from, showing people the value they've got in their own body. So get ready to have some value. So all I'm going to ask for people is to be seated in a chair. You don't want to be driving or anything like that, in a safe space, because the last part of this exercise, you'll get such a deep connection to everything. Some people really drift. Okay, so if you're driving, you don't want to be driving. You don't want to be operating, heavy machinery or cutting up carrots. This is a chance for you to really deeply connect to your body and allow yourself to breathe like you've never breathed before. Okay, so just give yourself permission. All right, so all we're going to do to start with is simply breathe in and breathe out. Okay. So we are now aware we are breathing. So one of the first, rules of enlightenment is just being aware of your breath, right? Because sometimes we can be so connected to what's outside of us that we disconnect from our own bodies. All right. And so it's that disconnection, that's what will kind of starts us on the path to loneliness, disconnection. And again, this is us reconnecting to our bodies. So all we're going to do now is breathe in and then breathe in again and again and again and again. Cool?
How many again?
So just as many as you, so we just breathe in and then try and breathe in again and again and again. And then just let that go. Now, did you notice a bit of extra space opening up here in the again and agains?
On the exhale or in the inhales?
Oh, the inhale. So I'm just inviting you to breathe
tightness in my throat. I was like,
Yeah.
it's moving all the way up here.
in. So breathing in, then breathing in again and again and again. So you're trying to breathe in more, not just sort of a chest breathe. You're trying to breathe in and then in again and again and again. And then let it go, okay? So does everyone feel that little bit of extra space opening up here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Awesome, okay. So for the sake of giving that a name, we're going to call that your secondary inhale. Your primary inhale is just where you breathe in and breathe out. Your secondary inhale is when you breathe in and you breathe in again and again, all right? And be gentle on yourself right now, because the oldest habit you've got in your life is breathing. Breathing isn't hard, but because you've been breathing a certain way, you've got a certain habit associated with that. So be gentle on yourself. There's no wrong way to do this. This is you getting in the shallow end of a lovely warm bath. Okay? So let's just try and smooth that out. We're going to breathe in, then we're going to breathe in again and again. Cool, cool? Breathe in. And just feel that bit of extra space. Awesome. All right. Now, another thing you probably didn't know about your bodies is that in your fingers and thumbs, you've got turbo buttons. All right. So just hold up your fingers and thumbs like that. Okay. And so in your primary inhale, you're going to breathe in, but when it comes to your secondary inhale, you're going to hit your turbo buttons and you're going to give that a boost. Cool, cool? So I invite you to just to blow it all out. Blow it out, blow it out, blow it out. Breathe in. Hit your turbo buttons, squeeze them really hard, and then just let that go. Did you notice a little boost with your turbo buttons?
Yeah.
Yes.
Strangely.
Who knew, right? Who knew? So let's smooth that out. So we're going to breathe in primary, and when it comes to your secondary, hit those turbo buttons. So I invite you to blow it all the way out. Breathe in, turbo buttons ready, hit them really hard, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, and then just let it out. All right, checking in. How are we feeling?
Drifty.
Relaxed.
Okay, well, we aren't even a third of the way through. It's going to get better. Okay, so to open up more space, these turbo buttons, we're going to attach to our chin, okay? And this triangle, think of your chin and your triangle, right? And we're going to open up that triangle. We're going to raise our chin on that secondary inhale. And sort of, if you look at my structure, I'm leaning back as well. Okay?
Okay.
So let's give this a go.
Do we turbo and then touch our chin? Do we turbo on our chin?
No, we're not touching our chin. I was just sort of giving an example. So think of your,
I totally thought we were touching our chin too.
I'm so sorry. That's on me. That's on me. So think of a triangle.
We're just tilting back. Is that what you mean?
You're tilting back. You're opening up that triangle. Think of your chin and your hands like a triangle, and you're opening it up. Okay.
Got it.
Yep, that's it. All right. So let's blow it all the way out. Out, out, out. Breathing in. Hit your turbo buttons. Raise your chin. Open up that triangle. Raise your chin. Look to the ceiling. Now hold it and wriggle your shoulders. Wriggle your shoulders like you're stretching in bed. Stretching in bed. Open up that space and let it out with a nice big sigh. Ah.
That was very refreshing.
Spacey.
Yeah.
Are you astro traveling, Laura?
I'm in space with all your alien friends right now.
Yes.
So what we're tapping into is a few different energy systems here. Okay. Yes, we are opening up more air, but I call this breath the breath of possibility.
Ooh.
Okay. Because when I got crap in my head and things seem impossible, watch what my structure does. I hunch over. You ever seen somebody with the weight of the world on their shoulders? We are squeezing down, not just in our lungs, but our nervous system. We're electrical circuits, right? But those electrical circuits are like hose pipes. And if you pinch a hose, you have less water running through. Okay, so if we're all hunched over, we're pinching off the energy systems in our own body. So when we breath of possibility, okay, opening it all up, it gives us proper structure, allows all those electrical circuits to run properly. You feel me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this time we're going to do the same thing again, and we're just going to open up, we're going to hold it, we're going to wriggle it, feel really amazing, like we're wriggling ourselves out of bed in the morning, and then we're going to let it out with the juiciest sigh you've ever done. When I'm doing this with high school students, we do it with towels, so you can sort of make a big noise into a towel, but you know, we're all adults right now. We can let out a nice big sigh and not be afraid of it. If you want to put yourself on mute, feel free, but we're gonna do this now. So let's blow it all the way out. Out, 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 out. With your power buttons ready, breathe in through your nose. Hit your power buttons, open everything up, open your chest like it's a flower, open your chest like it's a flower. Hold your breath, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Stretch that spine, wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. And when you're ready, let out the juiciest sigh ever.
Ooh. I get a very interesting effect from this. Like, I have low blood pressure, and when I stand up too quickly, my vision will go a little black.
Right.
I'm getting the pre-black, like, what is that? I don't know. Whatever this hand gesture is, like the ooh, ooh, ooh.
Okay, got it. Yeah, this is why you need to be seated right now, because your body is being put into some places that you don't normally go. All right, now there's nothing wrong per se, but if you do need to back it off and be a bit more gentle, please do. All right? Because right now, that is the breath of possibility. And the reason I call it that is because these turbo buttons become circuit breakers. So when there's crap in my head I don't want there and I'm out in public, I need to pinch these fingers to, okay, snort that air through my nose, because then that stops my rumination. Okay, right. So people ask me how often you should breathe. Well, when I was taking pills, I had pills not just in the medicine cabinet, I had it in the cupboard, the fruit bowl, in my car, because I was always taking it to self-medicate, to self-regulate. Right. Okay, so now my medication is a nice big sniff through my nose with my circuit breakers. All right? Mm-hmm. So the only thing we're going to do right now is we're going to inhale with mouth closed and really snort it through our nose. Okay, so my nose right now.
This is hilarious, because I'm working in substance abuse. I'm like, oh my God, we're snorting air. Okay.
Yeah, yes. We're getting high in our own supply.
And it's free.
Laura, you and I are definitely doing this later.
Oh my God, absolutely. I'll call you in like 50.
Yeah, you want to do some lines?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, okay.
You're going to go around there with some astronaut suits and put them on, and then put 100% oxygen in them, and we're on the moon, man. We're on the moon.
Snort this shit. Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do now is deliberately snort air through our sinuses, okay? Because one thing my coach, I used to be a professional fighter, and one thing my coach always told me is before you do a combination, snort air, because according to him, the air went through your sinuses and straight into your brain. So you oxygenated your brain by really snorting it, all right? So This is what we're going to do. We're going to exhale, we're going to mouth close, and we're going to really try and snort that air in, hold, relax, let it go. Cool? So let's blow it all the way out. Yeah, with the turbo and a bit of a wriggle. For you, I would recommend a little less wriggling. Okay, just back the wriggles off 30%, just so you don't have so much of those ones. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to blow it all the way out, and with our mouth closed, we're going to snort that nose. Turbo buttons. Open up the chest. Wriggle. And when you feel you can't stop that sigh, let it out with a juicy
What are you doing with your neck over there?
I don't know. It felt right.
Yeah. No, wherever your tension is, the oxygen gets in and releases it. Okay, presence of oxygen, absence of disease. Oxygen has a life of its own. Okay, the thing about air is it has a nature. You can't hold air. If you try and grab it, you can't hold it. Air can't be held. Okay, that's an obvious thing. But when we breathe, especially when we breathe properly, we take on the nature of air. So it doesn't allow us to hold on to any tension. So we will naturally move those parts of our body that has those tensions just without even knowing, because that's what the air does. We take on the nature of air. Does that make sense?
See, I just got called out. I might have been thinking this morning that I needed a massage.
Body's talking to you.
How did you know, Tim?
The aliens told me. They're on my side. They like me better. They like me better. But this is what happens when people see. To me, the sound of the universe is laughter. Okay, and this is what happens when you start taking on that nature of air and you just start being yourself and laughing. I think that's why I used to drink a lot of alcohol, because that would invoke a very similar state. I could no longer hang on to the tension in myself, my body, my mind. There was a cost to that. Okay, so now, breath gives that same sort of relaxing of my own tension and the ability to connect with another person. Okay, so that's why on my breathwork in bed app, I've got a couples breathwork session in there. So you can breathe with your partner to connect at the end of the day. Because when I used to drink, I used to have to drink half a carton of grog before I could speak to my then wife. I call her my then wife, not my ex-wife, because I stand for positive futures. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great to give somebody like a pharmaceutical-free option to connect with their partner,
So this is an app? I thought this was a book the whole time.
No. Well, I'll give you a first 20 people to click a link will get my free audio book. But this app, you go anyone with a phone, just look up 3 words, breathwork in bed. It'll ask you when you want to sleep, when you want to wake up. We take care of the rest. It's specifically made for people that are tired and they say, look, here's what I want. Take care of it for me.
Sebastian's going to love this. He's always trying to get me to wake up earlier.
I'll make sure to tell him.
The wake up tracks are freaking amazing. That's been the biggest game changer. Getting out of bed, I've always felt like lead, but breath work and a bit of chi, sort of, getting rid of that stuck energy, turns that lead into gold.
I try to do meditation in the morning because they say that when you're in that sleep state and you're coming out of it, you're much more, it's easier to get into a meditative state, but I just fall right back asleep. And I'm like, sorry, the meditation made me go back to sleep.
Yeah, blame the meditation.
Exactly.
But we're halfway through this breathing exercise, all right? Because you've got the breath back to, if people just take with them that circuit breaker breathing, okay, and having that tactile interaction, that becomes your breath of possibility. When something feels impossible, make it possible with that, okay, snort through your nose, all right? And this is your self-medication button, okay? Like that monkey hitting the lever, all right? But possibility is one thing, peace is another. And I'm going to show you how to breathe the breath of peace, which is in your lower third. If I can change this and move my lower third, right, where my belly button is, we're going to breathe in just like we did. We're going to hold our breath. We're going to wriggle it down till your head's forward. I'll turn on the side till your head's forward and your hands are on your belly and you're hunched over, okay? You're hunched over, head down, hand on your belly, and you're pressurizing that air down low, okay? So the bottom third of your lungs is the best gas exchange, because that's where the little air sacs, the little alveoles, are the most vascular. You've got the most blood wrapped around those little air sacs, and it's the best gas exchange. So we're going to push it down low. We're going to give it a bit of pressure, and then we're going to try and push it out our mouths, but our mouths will stop it with a tss, okay, a bit like a cat hissing, a tss. All right? So I'll give you a little demonstration. We breathe in, we hold it, we wriggle it, we push it down, hands on the belly, head down low, and then squeezing it, you go tss, as long as possible. Cool?
Okay.
All right, and the longer you do that sound, the more peace you're actually going to feel. All right, but again, you need to be in a safe space, supported, not driving, because this will really allow your body to go even deeper into the nature of air. Okay? So everyone, I invite you just to blow it all the way out. Breathing in, hit your power buttons, raise your chin, raise your chest. Open, open, open. Feels good to be open. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Holding your breath. Wriggle it down, wriggle it down. Put your head down towards your knees. Put your head down towards your hands on your belly, hands on your belly. Feel it down on your belly. Feel that balloon. And then try and push it out, but your mouth stops it with a tss. Let it out super slow, super slow. Squeeze it out and treat your body like it's a deflating toy. It's just deflating. All the tension's leaving it. Tension's leaving your neck, your shoulders, your back. All that tension is just deflating out. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Okay? So with your power buttons ready, breathing in, open up, open that chest bigger than ever before, bigger than ever before. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Hold your breath. Wriggle it from your upper chest to your middle. Have your head going forward. Have your head going forward. Hands on your belly. Hands on your belly. Head going forward. And then squeeze it down low and let it out with a tss for as long as possible. Really let your head hang low. And as that air leaves your body, it's like your whole body is deflating. All the tension is leaving your body. Your shoulders are just relaxed. Your neck is relaxed. That air is just simply feeling so good.
I'm ready for a nap.
I know. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to drive home.
And then this last one, we're going to do the same thing again, but at the end, just keep your eyes closed and I'll just talk you through a little something. Okay? So just blow it all the way out. Out, out, out. Breathing in, hit the power buttons, open up. Feel like your chest is a flower and the sun is just hitting it and it feels amazing. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Hold your breath. Wriggle it down low. Wriggle it down low. Head forward. Head forward. Squeeze it down low. Hands on your belly. Hands on your belly. And let it out with a tss. And just feel how your body is just deflating. All the tension leaving it. Feels super good. And I let all that tension, wherever it is, just fall out of your body. Now, with your eyes closed, just sit back in your chair. With your eyes closed, just sit back in the chair and allow that chair to support you. Allow the muscles that are touching the chair to be completely relaxed. Feel what it is to feel supported by that chair. That chair was built to hold you. It will hold you. So often in our tension, we do not allow ourselves to be held, to feel supported. It's like our own tense muscles are our own way of supporting ourselves, of holding ourselves, but it doesn't work like that. We only feel held and supported when we let go of that tension and we let that chair simply take our weight. Feel how good it is to simply feel supported, feel held with no tension in your body. And I invite you to take breaths. If there's any kind of tension in your body, take a deep breath into that part. It's like you can have those muscle groups breathe. Put your breath targeted into those any kind of tension in your body, and notice when you relax that part of you, it sets up a cascade of other muscles that are tense because of those ones. So when they relax, they all relax. And this is just the power of your breath. Your breath is now a tool that has undeniable results, and you can direct it to any part of your body because you are now connected to your body. Now I invite you now, just with your hands, put them on the top of your head and massage the top of your head. Put your fingers on the top of your head and just really get your fingers in there and rub that skull. Feel how wonderful it is to put your fingers in the top of your head. It feels amazing. It's like the more you massage your fingers into the top of your head, the better it feels. And I invite you to massage the base of your skull, the base of your skull. Feels really good. And I invite you to put your fingers either side of your ears, and just massage your ears. There's surprisingly a lot of energy trapped in your ears, so just give them a good massage. And you notice the more you massage them, it goes from a owie to a ooey, okay? Now I invite you just to put your hands on either shoulders, hands on opposite shoulders, and breathe in. And as you breathe out, really squeeze your body. Breathe in and then squeeze your body as you exhale. Breathing deeply in, squeeze your body as you exhale. Now, I just invite you to start flicking your fingers. Have your hands out in front and just start flicking your fingers like you're trying to flick off water. So flick them like you're trying to flick off water. Really use your wrist to start flicking them. Laura, if you just look at me, you'll see what I'm doing. I'm going like that as fast as I can, as fast as I can. Okay, we're going to go really fast for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, flick them like hummingbirds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Now I invite you just to hold a ball. Hold a ball right now. Okay, feel that ball of energy. That's your positive energy. Okay, feel how thick it is with positive energy. That's real. Now we're going to take a deep breath in and make it bigger. Okay, and now we're going to take another deep breath, and this golden ball of energy is going to be big enough to fit our whole body into it. Take another breath in. Now our whole body is covered in this energetic field created by your breath. And now we're actually going to breathe it back into our lungs. So we're going to breathe it back in, into your lungs. We're going to hold it there. We're going to push it to one side. We're going to push it to the other side. We're going to move it around the place. We're going to feel that good energy going down to our legs, up to our hands, up to our brain. And we're going to let it out with the juiciest sigh. Ah.
That's awesome.
I totally imagined Alicia falling asleep during all of that and me having to be like, we can't end the podcast.
It was close, I'll tell you that. The hand thing got me back awake, though.
Yeah. That's the idea. Yeah.
So don't do the hand thing if you're trying to fall asleep. Right?
He can't tell us. You have to download the app.
There you go. All right. I'll bite. Fair. That was awesome.
You can't tell us everything.
Yeah, how you girls feeling? Just checking in with your body.
Awesome. No, really awesome.
Yeah. Connected, like calm, but also tired. So like not bad tired, I guess.
Well, yeah, what's possibly happened is you were tired and you were pushing through, and this reconnection said, oh, okay, you know what? We are a little bit tired, but we know about it now. We're not trying to step over it or ignore that part of us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now you got called out.
I mean, I'm always tired. He's totally right. I will go for a nap. Do you want me to fall asleep now? Because I totally will.
No, we do have to go, though. And Tim, we are so grateful for this session today is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah. Like very transformative. I'm like, okay, now I can just remember what part of our podcast to go back to and start practicing.
Yes.
Well, I'll give you girls a link as well. You can share this with your listeners, the breath of peace and possibility. So you can go back to that whenever you want. So just remember, if you've tried this and you're listening, that was just 3 breaths. Okay. Cost you nothing. And if you could imagine how much it did for you, how many other people do you think could benefit from that as well?
Yeah. Thank you for, sharing that with us, sharing it with our audience, doing what you do and kind of helping spread that message of united healing. Very grateful.
I'm going to call this episode Deep Restoration.
Love it. I love it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Tim, thank you for being patient with us as we coordinated our schedules from across the world.
Yes, thank you. It was totally worth it, every second.
Yes, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
I'm going to go hug my dog now.
Okay. See you later. Bye.